Well, my wife and I have been married 36 years, raised 4 kids, and we ran away when we first met in a Volkswagen bus. And I've been wanting to do a Volkswagen bus and travel and just be simple. My wife was on board. She said, get a bus. And so I went on Craigslist, looked up buses, thinking Volkswagen bus, and saw a school bus and said, hey, that's even better. That sounds even better. So went on, and that same day bought a bus. It was 2 miles from our house, waiting for us. Cleaning it, obviously, getting everything. We took the hose to it and washed everything, and you know, then it was just kind of, what can we do? My wife has ideas, I have ideas, but luckily she doesn't do a lot about it, so I was able to do most of it myself. Yeah, it's actually very easy to drive. It's not the super large size. It's 30 foot long, so it's definitely manageable. Hadn't driven anything like that, except obviously like renting a U-Haul truck or something, but yeah, no, it runs great. Have had no problems with it the way it runs. Took a little getting used to, but I felt like I could drive right over anybody. I was like, I'm in a monster truck. It was pretty fun. Runs great. We're going to have it serviced today, or looked at, from our buddy at AAA Bus, Tony. Yep, very good guy, knows buses. We put a CB in because I always thought that was fun. We got a TV here. Folds down. That was another. Basically everything in here is garage sales and Craigslist and secondhand. I kind of do stereo for a living, so I had to have music. And we got amps inside here. We got subwoofers under the seats. These are speakers. There's a couple in the back. We've got speakers under the bus so that we can hear it outside with a switch. So yeah, music's a big part. Yeah, that charges the phone. We got one in the back. Obviously when we're camping anymore, you have to have phone chargers. So, and since everything runs off 12 volts, it's pretty simple. Yeah, you know, we've put lighting in. These things here light up, and they're all on remotes, so it's pretty fun. Most of this stuff is just, you know, this at nighttime makes the whole thing look pretty fun. And we've got it inside and outside, which, you know, they're like $30-something. So anything I can do cheap that makes it fun, I'm gonna do it. This right here, this table was kind of funny because I bought it at a garage sale, and I told the lady, I said, I'm gonna cut that in half after I bought it. And she wanted it back. She goes, you can't cut that in half. I said, trust me, I've got a plan for it. It's gonna work out. And so after I got it all installed and stuff, I brought the bus over to her and showed her, and she was okay with it. But she was like, we grew up with this table. And so I have the other half so that I can use it on another bus somewhere. Oh, they're great. Yeah, we got these at, I picked these up at a garage sale for $5 a piece. And I was driving my car. I bought 3 of them, and I had to try to fit it all into my little car. It was pretty funny, but I could not let those go. I mean, they swivel nice, and they're actually very comfortable. Plus with the base, they don't tip over. So they've managed to take the ride pretty easy. Well, what we did is we tried to, we sat in here a lot. And, you know, we looked around, and I wanted like an Alice in Wonderland kind of theme. And then we started thinking about maybe not quite that crazy, and that's what we told him, and this is what he did. I mean, he had the whole thing done in 4 hours, and he's just an amazing painter. I think I have one of his cards over here. Yeah, anybody that's interested in any kind of painting, he does this with one brush typically, all hand painted, and he is amazing. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure that we're putting his information on this so that anyone that wants to contact him, he really is amazing. Here's the thing, I've seen a ton of buses that do wood and finish it all. But one of the things I really wanted was for the bus to still be a bus. To just, when you got in it, you went, I remember all this stuff. It's still a school bus. I mean, literally, I could almost put the seats back and we'd be back in business again. And I wanted that feel. I know a lot of people don't, but for me that was kind of important. I like the idea that it's a school bus. It folds down. You know, it was a Craigslist find, and if you look on Craigslist, you'll find stuff like this. It folds down. It's for a bedroom. I mean, and it serves pretty good as a second bed. Of course, it also stores my subwoofers underneath because we have to have that. There's 2 big powered subs under there. This is a 100-year-old icebox from back in the day. Now somebody finished it. Shouldn't have, but they finished it, and that actually saved me because I ended up getting it real cheap. But we store stuff in there. It's not really good enough to put, you know, your freezing stuff in. If you're storing, you know, cereal and that kind of stuff, we use it for that. Yeah, I mean, it keeps it cool. It's good for bread, that kind of thing. Here in Arizona, things are pretty dry, so this is sealed pretty good. And it's got a great look. And it's just more storage for kitchen. This was a find at a garage sale. I found this and another piece, and I think I paid 50 bucks for both. And then I found this sink and this stove the same day. Paid another, I think it was $45 for the both of them. And brought it home. Told my wife, don't come outside. And got the saw out. Started cutting away. So we cut the sink in, it's all plumbed through. I actually have my propane tank right inside. I've got I use the water supply from, it's a beer keg that you pressurize with air. And it's mostly used for when people brew their own beer at home. But I can just fill up with water. They hold 5 gallons, I've got 4 of them. And then you just put an air pump to it. You can hand pump it or you can do it electric. And then it gives me the pressure I need. So yeah, it works pretty good for doing it. And it's just pipe through, sitting there. Everything I do is pretty fast. I don't spend a lot of time on things. But that's the front of that thing. That's pretty cool. I have some 110 powers in here that I put in before I did anything. Not a lot, but plugs here and there, and so it can run. I've got a generator outside, so right now I'm just running a generator. Eventually I'm hoping to get solar going, but right now we got generator and it works pretty nice. But these shelves right here, it's all Home Depot or Lowe's. Had to have something for when we're driving around, and we fill this thing up with groceries and stuff just till we get there, and then we can start putting it away. But yeah, you know, the one thing I will say about this is not a livable space. Like, you wouldn't want to just live in here forever. More of a go camping. We've spent a week 3 different times, and it's pretty comfortable. But beyond that would be a little tough. We have, this is set up for our bathroom. We're going to get a compost toilet. And it's kind of set up. I sat in there, obviously, try to figure the right size. This whole framing that we did here, it was just a one-day thing, just wham bam. How can I do something? Built a bed, and the way this sets up, the door opens up from the other side, and I got all storage under there from the back door. So, and then that gives us our bed. Well, I wanted a sunset so that we could be like laying in the back here. He kind of surprised us with a little bit of the sunset that looks, I mean, it's supposed to look like it's coming all the way down, and the sun is over here when you get in. So, pretty neat. He did a really, really good job. We do. I mean, not crazy amount, but it's very handy to move stuff in when we're getting ready to go somewhere. We'll put all our stuff right here. I've got a bicycle and different stuff. Actually, I just got a hitch for the back to tote my bike, so I don't have to lift it in here anymore. But we put extra stuff in here. We have a stove that usually sits here, but now that we're in summer, right now we're looking at doing a roll-around air conditioner. And it's a great little spot for it. It kept us really warm in the winter. Wood-burning stove is pretty easy to fuel. Well, I'll tell you this, as far as the floor goes, I debated, because everything I heard and saw, people were redoing, tearing it all up and everything. I personally like carpet. My wife's not a big fan of carpet, but you can find remnants. And I kind of talked her into, let's just roll something out there and get things started. The more we're in it, I like it. It's just, it quiets things down nice. It's nice, obviously, when you don't have your shoes on. It was fast. It just rolls right over and you're done. Now, I know a lot of people don't like these little spots where their walkway, but carpet rolls right over it. And this is actually the bus floor. You know what? We kind of looked underneath, obviously, but don't see any problems with rust. I got kind of lucky that way. But I will say that the thing about the carpet is, and my wife's complaint was, you know, it's going to get dirty. And I bought this piece of carpet for under $100. And so the way I look at it, if it gets dirty to the point where I can't clean it, then I'll get another piece. What I do whenever I'm cleaning, I use an air blower. And I just, you know, blow it all over and blow it right out the door. Open this back door. I can clean this thing in about 10 minutes. This is the plumbing. These are the kegs that I use. And, you know, you can get those. They're about $100 a piece. But you can switch them. We've got the plan to put, they make a little smaller one that's like 2 gallon. These are 5 gallon each. But we plan on putting Chardonnay in one and being able to just open the sink and you got Chardonnay, or having a little thing on the side, a spigot on the side of the bus where we can just walk up and fill our wine glass. And it's all about just having fun. This whole bus has just been a what can we do next kind of thing. Then of course we were really working on, for me, I wanted a deck. I crawled up there one day and I'm standing on top of the bus going, wow, what a view up here. This is nice. And it took me probably 2-3 weeks of just looking at it to figure out how I could make this happen without spending crazy money. And so that's when we worked on the bus, the roof. And so one thing we really wanted, or I did, was not to have access from the outside. We wanted to try to be able to, like, we could lock the bus up at night and not worry about somebody just showing up and going up on top of the bus because they go, whoa, that's the coolest bus, I want to get up there. We've been to Country Thunder and NASCAR and stuff, and you never know. I mean, people are out drinking, having fun. So by having the exit as our entry into the top bus or the deck, it makes it nice. We've had kids camping up there. When we went to NASCAR, we put a little tent on the roof and they stayed up there and it was awesome. They enjoyed it. Well, here we are. We're on the deck. As you can see, the view's pretty nice up here. We were trying to figure out wood, metal, how would we do it? I'm kind of a wood person. I like the feel of it. It's a little softer. It's cheaper. So we put the deck down and then I was like, we're good. My wife was like, we have to have a fence or a railing or something. And so she won on that one. But now that it's done, I'm really happy with it because actually the height of the deck and the railing is 12 foot 8 inches. So we're able to travel around and leave it up. Now, everything in the railing does come off with these pins and just lifts off. And so you can take them down real easy. We're able to drive with it up and we can leave all this stuff up here and just bungee it to the side rails and drive away. Well, the thing that made this bus kind of unique is it had a couple of ribs that were running along the top. And when I was looking at it, I'm like, you know, that's right across the top level. All I'd have to do is put an L bracket and strap my 2x6 and bring it into so that they're even. And so I just marked that, drilled a couple holes. We bolted it down on the wood, and then that was it. That was our foundation for putting the deck down. And it's worked really well. We had 15 guys up here dancing at NASCAR and had no problems. Of course, I was a little nervous about it, but it worked out perfect. I was a little worried about the weight and what it would do, but it has had no problems. And as you can see, like, we have our poles for flying our kites and different things. And everything just gets zip tied and stays up here. So everything that you see up here stays here. And when we're traveling, we just pull the umbrellas down, set them down, bungee them. It literally takes about 10 minutes to put it all away to drive away. And the nice thing about that is when you get there, you're already set up. You know, it kind of gives us the the feeling that we're on a deck. Well, the downrigger was a find at a garage sale for 50 bucks. When I saw it, I was trying to figure out how I could lift stuff up. At first, I was just thinking about beer, of course, but once I got these plastic chairs, they're not that heavy. I can lift and drop all the stuff you see up here using the downrigger. And it's kind of a unique way to do it. Runs off 12 volts, so it works right into the bus situation. This was at a garage sale around the neighborhood. I go garage sailing all the time. Part of the whole fun of this is finding things and making those work. Well, the shower is something that we just put in the other day. We went to Country Thunder, spent 5-6 days sitting there with the wind blowing on us and dirt. And my wife looked at me and goes, "You're getting us a shower." And of course, I don't have a lot of room inside, and I've always said, we'll do an outside shower. And I thought about it, and I went into Lowe's and walked around. I didn't know what I was going to do. There was a pesticide sprayer for, I think it was $52. And I thought, you know what? I think that could work perfect. And turns out it does. So you'll see from the bottom. But it literally, for the whole shower, I'm under $100. It holds 4 gallons. The thing is, we're in Arizona, so I'm not painting it black yet. I'll see. In the evening or afternoon, the water's perfect warm. We've tried that a couple times just to see, you know, if I should paint it to make the water warmer, or depending on where you're at. If you were to paint that whole thing black, I'm sure you'd have pretty warm water to take a shower. Well, as you can see, we cut this deck a little short, because the plan is to put solar panels on each side and in the middle right there. If we decide to do a air conditioning unit, then that's what that's for. Definitely want to do solar at some point. We also, these tiki lights, I think I got those at Lowe's on special for like $2 a piece. Everything you see up here is zip tie. So zip tie is the king when it comes to this bus. We use it for everything. Tying down the umbrellas, because it can get windy. But if you zip tie them across and do a cross on it, then they stay. It's a little nervous when wind's blowing hard, and then we have our kite stands, and we can keep everything up here, which I like. Otherwise, I'm toting stuff down. Of course, we have the cooler right here, and right now it holds all the bungees and everything. So when I'm done, then I can strap everything up. But once we get somewhere, we'll pull that all out and fill it up with beer and whatever else. The ladder was kind of a funny thing because I had this thing sitting around. Originally I had a 6-foot ladder, and it was a little difficult to step down into it. So we got an 8-foot ladder, cut off the legs, put a couple rubber feet on it. We've had probably 300, 400 people come up here, and I'm talking older people, everybody, and have had no real problems. The big thing about this is because it's an enclosed little area, it kind of supports you when you're walking down it. So even if you've had a little too much to drink, you're not falling. So it's worked out pretty well. And by the time you get past that point, you're one step away from the floor. They're cheap, but the key is to make sure you find the ones that have string and not metal. Some of them have like a wire. Those wire ones will connect to each other and twist on each other, and then they'll be like you couldn't open them. So it was just something that we discovered after buying the first one. They're like $20. They kind of do add a little bit to it. We put a camera out here so I can see, if we're inside, we can see everything that's going on in this area if we want to. Of course, the sunsetter we picked up at, I think this was on Craigslist also. Brand new in the box. The guy had a hard time trying to figure out how to mount it to his house, because this is one that you mount to a house. And I looked at it and said, you know what? I think I can mount that to the bus. Yeah, well, I wanted to go the whole length for more shade, but then of course we've got the door over here that we do use, and so lucky for me, this thing just fits just like that. Once I got it here, I said, okay, how far back where should I place it? So I had to keep that in mind. So those little things like that, you got to think about, because it would be a real bummer if I couldn't, because this thing here does attach over here so that you can lock it down. We mostly leave it closed, but if it's a nice breezy day, we'll open the windows up and take a nap or whatever we want to do, man. Change the light so that we got a switch on it. These things here are really nice, and I know they're cheap, but this solar light just sticks on there. And it's battery operated with solar, so it lays out a dim light, and then when there's motion in front of it, it lightens up more. I think they're $12. So yeah, really cool to have that. But yeah, this picture of the bus right here was from our trip. We went to Hawaii, and we showed him a picture, and he literally looked at it for a couple of minutes and then set it down and never looked at it again. I don't know where it is right now, but I could show you that he did it just like it looked. It was pretty cool. Well, because he's my friend, it's a little difficult, but I would imagine that if somebody just came up out of the blue and just said, hey, I want you to paint my bus, I mean, obviously you'd have to negotiate with him, but I'm thinking a couple grand at least. To me, it's worth a lot more. He paints murals on back fences, so he does the entire fence in your backyard and makes you like you're at a lake or anywhere you want to be, really. One of the things I wanted to do for sure was have a hippie side, because I got a little bit of hippie in me. Not a lot, because I'm a professional. So I told him, just do hippie on the back. I'm not kidding you when I tell you that he drew Bob Marley without ever even looking at anything. He just did it out of his head. And of course, I think it fits the bus nice. We got a tow package. That was just a gift. Came with it. And there's our shower. So the way this thing works, I had to do some way to do a curtain, and these are threaded, so I can just pull this off, unscrew it, put it in the back of the bus. And the way this thing works is, this thing here is an arm. When you're carrying this on a backpack, you would be spraying weeds and stuff with it. I just extended that arm so that when you're in the shower, you can pump it up, and then you can squirt it. So works pretty well, and it holds 4 gallons. You're going to take a quick shower, but actually, since you're not using it, the water's not running the whole time, it works pretty well. Nice. Oh my God, rinsing your face and hair off and
it's a 180. Body,
yeah. I mean, we did the baby wipe thing for the first couple of trips out, and that works pretty well, but a good shower really feels good. Changes everything. The key is cost. I want it to be cheap, and not cheap, but inexpensive as possible. And it's worked out pretty well. I think it's awesome. People have said it's gravity, but when you go gravity, then you end up with maybe too much water. So if you get some pressure on it, you can definitely, and you can see, if I pump this up to where it's at, it takes about 4 or 5 pumps. You got a pretty good shower. I think you can rinse your hair out with that. So this side of the bus was our Sedona side, and that goes back to when my wife and I first met. And we met in Sedona. This was Red Rock Crossing area. We told them that we wanted Sedona on one side and the beach on the other side. And he wasn't real happy about that because he wanted to do one thing all the way around, but I had to have that. I mean, you can't see both sides at the same time, so why not? We found these Budweiser mud flaps, and that again was at some kind of a sale. They didn't quite fit, but it didn't take long to get that to work. That's battery, and then the front piece, and that's something that Tony's going to look at today. It's a heater. So this bus came from Alaska, and with that you get you get different things like special heaters. So this thing will run when the motor's not running. If you broke down or something, you could still stay warm. Here in Arizona, obviously, we don't need it. Probably going to take that out so that I can use that for storage. The windows are not taken out. They're still there. We just put a sheet over the top of it. Now, on my next bus that I do, I'm going to paint the inside of that sheet too, so that when I open the window, because if you go in the bus, you'll still see those windows there. I want to have a view, so I want it to look like, hey, what's going on out there? But yeah, it's just sheeted on with screws, and then just tie it, just caulk it in good. When we first got it painted, we stopped it here. and we didn't do anything in the front. It was still green. It was the original green that came with it. I looked at that and it just didn't work. And so I brought him back over and he added this to this side. We were trying to figure out if we wanted an eagle or some crazy thing on the front, but we ended up with just continuing each side all the way to the front and then just splitting it with the sky. But this was all green. Somebody had bought it. Somebody originally got this bus and painted it with house paint, and so that was our only real dilemma, because it was all stretching out and it definitely was a mess. So one suggestion: don't paint it with house paint and think that that's going to last. It shrinks and everything else. So this is my bus, and if you see it traveling down the road or you see it on the side of the road, stop in and say hi. I'd love to say hi and let you check it out. You're welcome.